themselves to be able to find these advantages, not with compositions that will just win by them being a little bit more passive, but compositions where they need to actively get stuff done. We are jumping onto the Rift now. CGA on the blue side trying to take a scalp off of DFM, who are looking to continue their unbeaten streak so far in 2022.
Yeah, DFM are looking so strong this split. As we talked about, you know, LCK players coming in and out. We're swapping out some old Koreans for some new ones and have remained largely at the top of this split as well. I don't think anybody can dispute that they're looking like the strongest team. Well, there's some conversation. CGA is looking real strong at the moment.
Yeah, I have heard that. Look on the runes just here. Harp actually opting for the Predator on the Rakan. So this is saying to my my gold brain right here, Oak, that this Rakan wants to get out of this lane as soon as possible.
You know what? Your gold brain's correct. Just like we saw in last game, once level 6 gets activated via Harong and especially Ebi, I want to see Harp rotate up this lane as much as possible because Ezreal Kench, relatively little pressure in lane. Whilst Nemo on the Kench going to be able to bully out Harp if they go for these 2v2s. I think actual fighting or initial fight strength against Utapon going to be kind of minimal, unless we see dives come in from Kassin as well as nothing.
Yeah, proccing that bone plate off of Nema though, that's a miniature objective that that you can take for yourself in the bot lane. I think people really tend to underestimate how much damage reduction it can provide to you. So if you are looking for any all-ins, it's important to take that off the board. Yaharong with his second game of the Renekton, a bit of a cheater champion in the mid lane as Nap. With that level 2 spike, can aggress onto Ebi, the Akali, not known for her potency in the early levels.
Absolutely not. Yeah, Ebi's going to be playing on the back foot the first 3 levels or so, I think. Maybe when level 4 gets here, maybe we'll see a little bit of fighting. But anyway, still marginally ahead and actually behind on clear compared to Kassin, which I'm quite surprised to see. I guess they started leashless, so it might be a bit of a slower clear.
Yes, yeah. Does make it harder as Yaharon going forward trading with that Cull the Mink. Been very impressed with him so far. Kaito, we still need to see more from him. He had a half-decent showing in Academy. Coming in, was tipped to be one of our weaker players. Has looked solid so far, but solid isn't good enough to carry the CGA.
Absolutely, and I think when you put the Syndra into the later matchup, it'd be quite difficult for him to press the lead too hard, and this is really where this champion comes into play. So in turn, we'll be looking instead at this lane and maybe looking at how skirmishes start and how will Kaito compare it with Kassin and get, you know, Syndra 6 oh so potent. And when you pair that with,
hybrid,
I should be talking. Hybrid is so low.
The ignite.
Oh my,
that was so close.
That's a reminder for me to stop monologuing. Yeah, that was scary from Hybrid there. Has to burn the heal, but Heart burn the ignite, so a little bit of a summoner change. But we're going to see Steel immediately move down to enforce a choke out of the CS hit.
And this is something that we've seen from CGA AD carriers in the past and was meant to be sold by the bringing in of Hybrid. This guy coming out from LCK Challengers, but still, you swap the parts around. It's a little bit a Ships of Theseus situation. God, try saying that with 4 hours of sleep as Yorong is taken very low in the mid lane. Will he'll back up with the Cull the Meek. No ignite on Kaito means there is no aggressive potential. Utapon now being forced onto by Nema, who can go forward with that Abyssal Dive. Flash is still available for all members of this bot lane, but no other summoners.
Yeah, no combat summoners available anymore, and Yahong's choosing to stay in the lane. Kaito's fallen a little bit low on mana, but there is a cookie in his inventory, so he's probably going to stay a little bit lower. Heavy's looking for an aggressive trade in topside. Yeah,
but this is why the Gragas is so good against the Akali. As soon as she hits you out of that shroud, the Bally Bop comes through, connect with an auto attack, and you can kind of just waddle yourself away.
Body Slam also has priority against not only the dash in from the Shuriken, but also it has priority against perfect execution. So I'm sure Evie's going to love to deal with that come mid game. Also, we see this huge wave coming in. This means that Nab's very likely going to be securing himself a small CS lead in the top side as well as mid. Obviously, range versus melee, Kaito really should be getting a little bit of a CS lead in this mid lane too.
And we've seen this a couple times from Hart, going forward, consistently trying to proc that Guardian. The flash comes through from Nema. And there isn't the follow-up. Cassin just went to clear the ward. A little bit of miscommunication there for CGA.
Maybe it could have been a punish point for them, but Harp immediately flashing back means that Kassin has to respect that. And now that this bot lane's on reset, maybe Steel will potentially look for first Drake, just like last game missing in Infernal. Bit of an easier Drake for you to be looking for in the early gamers. Steel with the level advantage, they're looking for a potential fight.
Yeah, Yaharong dashes forward onto Kaito, but that Ruthless Predator used onto a minion instead of onto the Syndra. Steel wrapping around. Oh, those spears are definitely not balanced. Blasting time already in inventory.
Yeah, I was going to say, the blasting one pickup by Steel is... I mean, he must have specifically been sitting on that 850 gold. Might struggle a little bit with mana, but those jungle items are definitely going to help. But yeah, you can see there, the amount of damage coming out from Nidalee already is so high. Now we can take a little bit... Now the game's a little bit slow. We can take a look at vision. We can see some really aggressive red side vision already coming out. Harp moving forward to clear vision on this bot side as they're looking for Nemo. Spear lands.
Doesn't have the flash. Will be able to jump himself away. No interrupts available for DFM. Ooh. That shield was so well timed. Steel was nearly picking up first blood, and he might look for another one!
Wow.
No vision, doesn't matter. Yaharong now going forward. Ruthless Predator in the mid lane will dash under the tower. Grabs a solo kill onto Kaito! Oh my goodness gracious me. DFM are just hands checking CGA.
Yeah, it's a bit of a... I saw the all-in there, Kaito using the unleashed power, and I thought, nah, there's no way Yaharong gets out of this one. And then psych. So we're going to see this in. So Harp with Steel on his side. Remember, they just got since out of this jungle. So Nemo trying to defend his vision gets punished here. And unfortunately, maybe in shot when this final kill comes out. I want to mention, whilst this fighting's happening, look at the vision that gets planted in the bot side jungle here. Not only that, trapped out as well. And then, yeah, Nemo starts recalling. Buddy, stop looking and shot. Kill picked up. And at the same time, Yaharong, you're going to see here, Unleashed Power comes in, chunked so low, uses the ulti to get the HP to live the combination. Dashes past Syndra's first. Oh no, just tanks it. Doesn't care. I was going to say tanks past the cube, but no. Just a fantastic coming up from there. And that Iron Spike whip, even after nerfs, looking so strong. And yeah, you mentioned kind of more of a scrim heavy draft coming out from DFM. It's working pretty well.
It is working well indeed. The Triumph proc also coming through just before that final tower shot to keep Yaharong alive. 8 minutes on the clock now, so Shelly is on the rift. Drake has been up for a little bit of time too, as Yaharong will go forward, land the Ruthless Predator, and this is the combination we were so scared of. Another kill for Steel. Yeah.
When you get that rage, you want to be using that Call the Meek to... No, not Call the Meek. You want to be using the stun because you get that enhanced stun duration. That combos with the spear to force Kaito's flash early, and then he just follows afterwards. The Panther picks up the kill. Very clean coming out from this combination. This is what we wanted to see, right? This is going to lead into the Herald. On top of that, now that they built up a 2-kill gold lead onto Steel, I'm surprised to see if this leads into this Drake, because Nidalee, once he gets a couple of kills on the board, could be so oppressive around these skirmishy fights, repeated spears coming out.
Kassin, he's 2 levels down on Evie. The Crescent Guard used, but it's not quite in time. So much damage with the perfect execution, and he flashes on top of him. Kassin, what on earth was that, buddy?
And you and me are both in shambles as CGA as the seams are being ripped apart. We mentioned CGA being one of the weaker teams, and individual outplays coming out from the whole side of DFM means that...
Oh no, Kaito. This is going to be his 3rd death in just as many minutes. Are we talking about Ruthless Predator being the Renekton W? We've got 5 Ruthless Predators on DFM right now because they do not stop bullying out this mid lane. Rift Herald is going to be spawned here as well. The snowball is just so beautiful.
Yeah, it's literally, macro-wise, this is perfect. They find the kill, they get the Herald, they find the kill in mid lane, they chunk the turret down to just below 3 plates, they use the Herald, pick up first turret, 9 minutes in the game. And this gives so much. This is the reason why we had the Renekton mid. All the priority that it first establishes gets played through perfectly with Steel. And we can see that playing off not only through individual kills, but look at the vision coming out from DFM. Large red side scattered vision across the board means that every movement from Kassin has been here, and you can see it getting pinged out. As I think CJ are going to try and see if they can steal away the Drake. They know that DFM are on recall timers, so Harp's going to spot this out, but not really anything they can do about that. DFM still going to remain largely in the lead, that dragon time is going to be anything that slowed down for them.
Yeah, Kassin doing his best James Bond impression there, providing his team a quantum of solace, but that's all it is. 10 minutes into this game, DFM 5 kills, 5k in the advantage. And we said before we got into even the champ selectors, the beautiful arcane shift away by Hybrid there, that the copium, the avenue that CJ had to attack was in the sort of 20-25 minute mark if they can maintain parity with DFM. And that did look a little bit weird. Yaharong just auto-attack nothing there.
I think it was an enemy ping that was red. And so, I don't know. Spectator bugs aside, a bit now that this mid lane's been unlocked, and especially with this Iron Spike, the Gordring already being picked up, CJ, DFM are easy to aggress. They look for the pick on Nemo, and they're going to find it here.
Super Mega Death Rocket goes wide as Steel dives under the tower. Hybrid throws out the True Shot Barrage, but it doesn't connect onto anybody. Clears, doesn't even clear out some minions. Just not a great ultimate there, ultimately. And Ebby now starting to do everything's. Being a little bit rude in the top side, and Kassin could look to punish. Explosive Cast will knock him away into the path of Jin Zhao, who uses the Wind Become Lightning. Ebby doesn't get the perfect execution over the wall, and finally, CGA hit back.
Bit of limit testing coming out from Ebby there, trying to proxy a wave when all his players are on bot side. Good for him, you know. Doesn't end up playing it off perfectly, though. Kill given over specifically to Kassin. I'm going to see if he can actually translate this to anything. Whilst CJ are 6k gold down at 12 minutes, that's a really big gold gap. Yeah. There could be potential avenues for CJ to continue to find, for CJ to turn around and need this. And it's through Kaito and the amount of pure damage that they have on this team. I really want to see if individual players in DFM overstepping gets punished. So Steel, for example, walking into the spot side by himself. Kassin and Kaito. Oh my god.
Oh, that's not okay.
Okay.
Oak,
yeah. Well,
Oak, you could talk all the macro, you could talk all the strategy that you want, but when a spear is hitting you for half your HP, all of it seems to fall away a little bit. I do like what DFM have done here, though. They brought Ebby down into the mid lane. They recognize that he doesn't have the teleport, whilst Yaharong does have that summoner spell. Renekton, still a pretty good top laner as well. We'll grab a couple of these plates as well. And if a play does precipitate on the bottom side of the map, he's still going to be able to join.
Absolutely. He's also going to have a lot of priority in the Gragas lane. Especially with this Gore Drinker built already, I wouldn't be surprised to see him trying to bully out Nat just a little bit. And we're seeing here immediately dashing forward and aggressive, trying to get some HP advantage. And this is going to force not only Nav to play a little bit more defensively, but it can also establish a potential dive for DFM. Remember, this is the final tier 1 they need to be looking towards.
No explosive cast, no flash, no hope. Yaharong with another kill. And in the bot side, DFM are getting kills as well. You shouldn't be able to get kills on two sides of the map at the same time, but they will do it. Kassin diving forward onto Hub will pick up the trade kill, but is Utapon in kill range? I think it might be likely. Flashes back, tries to get away from the wall, but will get taken down. Kassin 3-1, making stuff happen.
Yeah, this gold lead is diminishing just a little bit now as DFM are going to make sure that doesn't happen. Immediately pick up the final tier 1 and concrete their lead just a little bit more. But yes, Kassin has 3 kills. This could be an avenue for CGA to find a potential comeback. DFM obviously repeatedly been very clean, and we're going to see the dive come in here. This, or not the dive even, the 2v3 as DFM just set themselves up for just some really big initial damage, which means that when Kassin is coming in to gank this, I mean, look, he's already played this CGI already playing in the back foot. Luckily, Kassin abusing a very powerful jungle champion with that Crescent Guard means Utapon has to walk really, really close to try and find effective damage here. Kassin picks off Rakan so quickly that then it leaves Utapon by himself, picks off the second kill, and Utapon using the flash there, just trying to find that edge in damage, but it isn't enough.
Oh, it's not quite the perfect. Yeah, it's not quite the perfect turret plate sweep, but it is pretty damn close. 13 out of a possible 15. 2,000 gold just from those plates. 2,000 gold lead at 15 minutes would be pretty good for DFM regardless, but they've also got a few kills to boot, and that's produced an 8,000 gold advantage from them. That's pretty disgusting, honestly, and you can inhale as much CGA copium as you like, but I think this one might be done and dusted. The only question now for DFM is, can they end it before 20 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, Herald usage is going to be really important if they're going to be looking for that. Playing through this mid lane, unlocking as much of these tier 2s before the Herald gets used could be a really good avenue to secure yourself an inhibitor really early on. So you have to be careful when you're securing an inhibitor early, as DFM want this fight. They don't want to give up the Drake. Bounties
that
go
is
over.
beautiful.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Very good. Very clean from CGA to just get a little bit of a gold bounty picked up for themselves, and also slow down DFM for a potential win condition for this team.
And I mean, DFM giving up 2 Drakes is something that we saw them do a lot in summer when trading it for gold advantages. It's looking good for them here, but that does present a potential place for CGA to play around. Look at that vision, though, in the top side. Baron doesn't even spawn for another 4 minutes, but DFM don't seem to care at all. They are aggressing further and further into CGA's jungle with each passing minute and making it harder and harder for them to play the game.
Yeah, and unfortunately, CGA have been met with a Cloud Drake, and this is not one of those big turnaround Drakes. This is more of a win more Drake. Feeling sorry for CGA, but also I feel like we're seeing Cloud Drake quite a lot today.
Yeah.
I think we've seen it in both of our games, and I'm pretty sure they saw it this morning as well. So yeah, that's fun.
A divine wind has graced the LJL as DFM doing some more of that vision denial, some of the more of that vision clearing.
Look at it.
Opting into a little bit of a 1-3-1 right now with Yaharong in the top side, Ebby in the bot, and Steel, Utapon, and Harp just dancing all the way in between. With there not being a Baron available, it does make pushing down these towers a little bit harder, but Shirley can help with that significantly. Summoned on the bot side, want to funnel some more of this gold into Ebby's back pocket.
Yeah, and they're just going to aggress here. Great timing on the Herald, pairing it up with the Siege Minion to really try and get as much effective value out of it as possible. Wouldn't be surprised to see them rotate. Okay, they're going to do it before I can call it properly, but hopefully they're going to be rotating through to unlock some of these other tier 2s. So rotating towards this mid turret as this Herald pulls all of the members of CGA down to bot side. They had to clear up this wave, and this puts them on the back foot as DFM continue their vision control and look towards mid tier 2 as well. This is very clean macro coming out, and they're really trying to push their gold lead as much as possible. Because remember, the real next objective for them to be looking for is Baron. So they're trying to keep edging gold for as long as possible and keep the pressure up until that Baron spawns.
And the thing is, if CJ can get a Baron still, whether that be hybrid with a true shot barrage, which is just absolutely wonderful, Kassin sneaking around, finding a place behind the pit, they're not so far behind that it makes them irrelevant. And Baron buff is especially strong at the sort of 20-minute mark when people don't really have the items to de-push those Baron minion waves. So I think CGA looking to do a little bit of a DFM jungler here, grab a steal onto one of those major objectives. And I think that's probably the most consistent way they've actually got of keeping themselves in this game.
On top of that, I mean, we can't rate the explosive task enough for grabbing some overstepping individual members from DFM, whether that be Steel, who's now picked up a Zhonya specifically to avoid that, or Ebby, who's been playing very aggressively in these side lanes. If they're able to pair that up with the unleashed power, perhaps a solo kill or just a shutdown could be found onto the key members of DFM.
Yeah, I think we're waiting on a couple of items as well. Obviously, DFM significantly far ahead in that regard, but CGA are starting to move towards these breakpoints. Kaito has picked up that Luden's Tempest. We've had the Gore Drinker on Kassin for a little while, and once Hybrid gets that Mirror Mana fully stacked, this Ezreal is going to be probably at the strongest point that he is going to be at this game. I'm not sure if it's enough to compete with the DPS that Utapon is going to be putting out, but it's still a good spot for you.
I think the Triforce must come from ease of build, because I think really specifically here, I think with this comp you've drafted, an Eclipse angle, a penetration angle could definitely be good for the Ezreal here, but he's opted into Triforce just because of how easy, especially when you're playing from behind, how easy Triforce is to build into. All of those individual components can be really easy to pick up.
Hybrid.
Oh,
Super Mega Death Rocket. Harp throws out the Ignite. Is that actually going to be enough? They're thinking about it here. That was a little bit too close, but holding on to the hill is good there, and it was a couple of resources invested by DFM. Yeah, not massive, but it's a small victory nonetheless.
Yeah, it shows how scary DFM are at the moment. Utapon through that Super Mega Death Rocket Alwyn Hybrid was just over half HP, and DFM, Harp even didn't even commit to using the ultimate, just popping a Q and an ignite, and with an inch of his life to spare, Hybrid managed to live that out. So yeah, we're really seeing how far ahead DFM are at the moment. Finally, Utapon opting towards this last shadow. Oh my god, my brain's gone.
Last whisper.
Last whisper. There you go.
I got you, man.
Which means he's going to be looking towards that Lord Dom's third, specifically trying to pick apart CJ's front line. You can tell from this kind of comp that because DFM don't have much of a front line, they want to split apart CJ's front line as quickly as possible, and finally picking up their first Drake of the game, Cloud Drake, I mean, at least compared to last season, it's a little bit more, you're happy to pick up these individual Cloud Drakes because they do, a passive's a bit more effective. And
it's a very DFM thing to do, right? This has been a team who has been very strong at recognizing enemy teams' win conditions, and they see that, yeah, CGA are very far behind right now, but we don't want to be giving them soul point needlessly. We don't want to be letting them make that proactive trade. So it is going to potentially delay the Baron take by a few minutes, but fundamentally, it's just DFM trying to keep this win as secure and clean as possible.
Yeah, I think DFM definitely going to be fishing for the best angle for Baron as possible. That's when somebody shows on bot side where they know that Ebby can either force a flash out of them or at least find HP advantage, and then DFM can look towards this Baron, because Ebby will be free to get a wave shoved in bot side and forces split decisions coming out from CJ, whether or not they defend the bottom inhibitor turret or if they look towards this Baron. So keep eyes on Ebby and the rest of the team and how they circumnavigate this kind of larger macro choice they have positioned at the moment. For now, we're just going to see continual wave shoves in and DFM continue to extend their vision lead as much as possible.
Yeah, Hybrid is very close to completing that mirror mana though, so the Ezreal going to be at a decent point of power, but yeah, DFM slowed down significantly in the past sort of like 5 to 7 minutes, purely because the things that they want to take are just not really on the map at that point. Final tier 2 tower going to go down here on the top side, despite Nap's protestations. Actually, Shirelli's popped here by Harp. They're not quite going to be able to defend this tower as Utapon is being knocked into the rest of the team. The True Shot Barrage does so much damage, but the Jinx is still alive, and now he can start to free fire. Double kill already for Utapon as Nema has a Shuriken on his head, but Ebby won't flip forward. Those are the two picks that you were looking for. DFM going to go straight over to this Baron.
So unfortunate for CJ. Utapon living within an inch of his life, double summon his burn, but he gets out for free. That's 2 kills picked up in the front line for CGA, knocked down, which means there's no chance for them to be contesting this Baron. I'm going to see here, Nap comes in with a fantastic body slam flash, immediately with the explosive cast to pick up Utapon. And the damage, look how hard it goes, almost finds the kill onto Utapon, but Harp and the rest of his team responding very quickly to CC down the front line of CGA as Kaito and Hybrid really aren't in position to find any effective damage in that fight. Very clean from DFM, and yeah, almost a turnaround point for CJ, but unfortunately they're so goal behind at this point, the damage just isn't there.
And as Hail Marys go, that was a pretty close one. I think if you can take out
really
Utapon there, a lot of damage is being taken off the board, and CJ have been very, very good at these team fights around the sort of 20-25 minute mark. They are a little bit too far behind for it to be relevant now, but we can see just there what this team can do when they're all on the same page, when they are working together. If Hybrid or Kaito maybe a little bit closer to that fight, could be looking at a few less kills in the DFM column, few more in the CGA column, and a game that is a little bit less tragic.
Yeah, this ridiculously the DFM built up was a mixture of individual outplay as well as larger macro choices from the team. You can tell that not only are these players set up for success easier through Harp and Steel being always in the right points, but also the draft playing out so well for them.
That's been a beautiful showing from them so far. Haven't taken an inhib yet though. A minute and a half remaining on the Baron, and CJ's defense has actually been pretty strong there. Hybrid going over the wall a little bit aggressive, but absolutely fine. Nemba was talking about Hybrid as a little bit more aggressive than Honey in one of the interviews that we did hear from, and We're seeing that there. This guy is a high-risk, high-reward player and hasn't really panned out this game. Not been getting involved quite as much as he would like to, but there is still time to change that. These Mystic shots, this True Shot Barrage does a fair amount of damage, but a spear to the face is going to give DFM all the pressure that they need. Inhib Tower number 1 is falling as Ebby just in the mid lane, trying to do the same thing as well. Kaito throws out that force of will, but it's not quite enough. DFM are just posturing now. They're just waiting for one member of CGA to overstep, for one person to get slightly out of position. And look how far back Utapon is standing. He's not allowing himself to get picked off at all.
You can play this as slow as needed, even with this dragon spawning in under a minute now. They know they can look at these turrets, scatter the weak hits and the jinx, but they aren't able to find any more damage. Because of this double
forward,
inhib potential,
Ebby with a perfect execution, Harp into the back line. Nema has been caught out, and Ebby grabs the first kill of the fight. Yaharon gets another one as CGA. It's just devastation in the base. No hope for them to play out that fight. And DFM, it wasn't faster than 20 minutes, but it was still pretty damn rapid. Continue their unbeaten run and stand alone at the top of the table.
Ah, what a game. And especially that last fight.